Yo. So, let's discuss Yakuza. Now, when I think about Yakuza, I'm starting to think that it's a little bit like the MCU now. And the thing is, right, this is a problem with a lot of things in the world now that are trying to be like the MCU. I mean, if you look at, if you're a wrestling fan and you watched WrestleMania 40, that the ending of that clearly tried to be like the MCU, you know, get everyone together and boom, boom, boom. I mean, the intro of Yakuza now, when you go into a Yakuza game, you have an RGG intro. It's very MCU-like. But my problem is, like, at least based on how Nagoshi envisioned this game, like, this is not meant to be an MCU kind of thing. This is not meant to be superheroes. I mean, they do superhero feats, but the characters are meant to be mortal. And this lends me to a problem that we're having now, and I will mention some spoilers that I've apparently discovered thanks to Reddit regarding what's going to happen with Yakuza 3 Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. So just click off the video if you don't want to hear that. But the way I see it with this series, and I'll mention when I'll mention the spoilers, but there's been an issue and with many characters that have been coming back to life. I mean, we've seen that with Andre Richardson or whatever his name is, Richardson. We've seen that with Kashwagi. We've seen that with Lao Kalong, or if I'm saying it wrong, mind me, because I've actually taken a break from this franchise, but I've been keeping up with it because I'm traditionally a trophy hunter, so I go after the games, Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2, the 6, Visitor and All Stars. So I played a lot of these games, and I took a break and I'm catching up, playing Gaiden and Pirate Yakuza, and that's when I play the RPG games. So, but yeah, I've been keeping up to date with the story, so I know pretty much what happens, and I know that this has been a thing that has been happening. I mean, even Zero, the director's cut, brought back characters like Lee, who apparently he was going to pass away from his wounds anyway. They brought back characters that they didn't really need to bring back. And this has been something they've seemed to have done a lot with 3. Like, a lot of characters in 3 they're bringing back. And I don't know, maybe they thought a lot of people died in 3. But that's the whole point of this franchise, is that Kiryu has seen everyone in his life, in his Yakuza life, that have just died. They've died in this lifestyle, and he has literally built up this guilt of whether he could have done things differently, going all the way back to, say, Nishiki, right? If Kiryu went a different direction, Nishiki would have been in prison, but Nishiki would have at least faced his crime, and he would have become stronger as a result through that. Kiryu would have probably left the Yakuza family after that, because Nishiki wasn't there. Why would Kiryu be there? I know people were saying Kiryu would have taken up the mantle, but after those 10 years, you can see Kiryu doesn't have much interest in the Yakuza. I mean, he's just there to clean up a mess. He doesn't want to come back into it. So his life in the Yakuza was those 3 core people in his life: Nishiki, Yumi, and Kazama. And when those people die all at once in the first game, like, it pretty much sets the course of what Kiryu is going to be, and how he has Haruka, he has a part of Yumi left. And you see that he goes against Ryuji Goda, then Mine, and it's like, these are people that are meant to be something that he can see in himself. When Ryuji, like the Dragon of Kansai, that fighting spirit, and then Free with Mine, who's also an orphan. It's seeing where he could have been if he stayed in the Yakuza lifestyle. But this franchise, I mean, Goda could be supposedly alive, and with Richardson surviving, a lot of people have been wondering if Mine has been surviving. And spoiler, if you want me to give any spoilers, don't listen. But apparently Mine survives. He survives. Him and I say Kagawa or whatever that guy is, because but the character, because there's been a lot of conflict with that guy. Me personally, I don't care about all of that nonsense, because at the end of the day, I know RGG are going to make their move. They're going to choose who they want to be as actors. They've chosen controversial characters in the past. The character that plays that character, for some reason, recording this now, the name's just slipping out my mind, but who plays that character, he is he was also controversial as well. So I don't really care about what they're doing with the delisting and all this stuff, because that's also Sega. But for me, my issues with this franchise has been kind of how it's gone a little bit too much towards fantasy. It's lost its grounded sense. You can say, oh, there's been crazy stuff with Nagoshi, Dead Souls and all that stuff, blah blah blah, and all those feats like, you know, Saejima against a bear and all that. And that's fine, that's part of the gameplay, but we're talking from a narrative sense. I mean, the gameplay does look a little fantasy-like now, with like, you have the little cone over your head, or, you know, when you're about to get shot, you know, it makes me think of Spider-Man, like a Spidey sense, and all the effects, and as nice as they are, and some people have even seen the demo, and there's like some water that looks a little bit too blue, and shadows that just shouldn't be there, and colors that are just way blown out. But again, that's one thing. But for me, a big issue is the narrative. These games were grounded. They were designed for the adult Japanese man back in 2005. I know times have changed. The audience may be gamers now. The adult man in Japan now is a gamer or an anime fan. But, and look, the English dub is very much anime. But the Japanese is where it feels real. It feels organic. That needs to be reflected through the story. And I know that Yakuza have been guilty of having, you know, crazy things like the Florist Asai, and they've always had some kind of overarching thing. But Yakuza is done best when it's simple. Like, I know you have the Nikio Consortium or whatever, you have that in Zero, but Zero is very much grounded, and it's at its best when it's grounded, and that they don't play too much of a part. They come in a little bit towards the end, and that's that, but they don't really overpower the plot. And now we've had these Gaiden games, which have been like, you know, Kiryu as a Secret Service agent, like, you know, and then you've got Majima as a pirate, and it's almost like they're just exaggerating these characters and putting them into some kind of trope. And now you have the Daidoji, who are like this overarching, I don't know if they're antagonists, but they're like, you could say they're like the government, but they're like watching over everyone, right? And the thing is, in Japan right now, the Yakuza aren't as much of a presence, but there is this, again, I'm not going to go ahead looking up, but there's this term now of like a new kind of crime that's happening in Japan with the youth and technology. That's where they can build stories around. It's even with this whole issue in Japan with the whole immigration problem. Like, these are things that they can build storylines around, you know, because this whole Yakuza cleaning up some nuclear mess and stuff, you know, maybe they're done with that now, because I haven't played 7 and 8, but I know pretty much the story of what happens in those games. But this whole Daidoji thing, I'm not sure how I feel about it, you know? Like, are we just basically gonna take all the villains that we don't want to kill, or the characters that we don't want to kill, that we want to come back whenever we want to do our little Infinity War Endgame Yakuza, which could be Yakuza 9, where let's just bring everyone. Minne fights with Kiryu and everyone, like, it's like bloody Red Light Raid. And I'll make a video on that because I like Red Light Raid, but it's like, oh, let's bring all the characters together, and because in that case they can retcon anyone. You know, we've had rubber bullets, we're gonna have rubber explosions, you know, we're gonna have rubber everything. Like, there's just ways around it, clearly. I mean, even it's getting to a point where, as this series goes on, I don't know about the voice actor behind Kiryu, but it's Yakuza reminds me of, like, say, Tekken, right? That storyline just stopped moving, and it's like they want to immortalize these characters. And while Kiryu was meant to be on his way out, and you could say Infinite Wealth is kind of like that, the swan song, although he's had many swan songs, and he deserves it, don't get me wrong, he deserves it, whether it's 5, 6, Gaiden, Infinite Wealth, I don't mind seeing that. But Kiryu's aging, right? But obviously the characters, they've de-aged them. They don't have the same kind of wrinkles, lines, the emotions that they had in that sense as they did before with, you know, during 3, 4, 5's time. And it makes me think that they don't want to give these characters up. They're afraid of change. I mean, there's always been a thing with Kiryu to have him settle down. He's always running away from a life that he could have. He could be at the orphanage. He could be with Sayama. If I'm getting the names wrong, I'm just recording everything off the top of my head. But he could have all of this, right? You know, he could have that life. But again, people thinking he's avoiding or he's running away from his responsibilities. That's the thing about Kiryu. That's always what he has been. Very stubborn and almost fighting a fate that he should not fight. You know, going back to trying to protect Nishiki in Yakuza Kiwami 1. So it's like with this Daidoji thing, you know, you got the main villain of Gaiden that goes into that as well. And again, great characters. I'd love to see him again. But what are they doing with this Daidoji thing? Because I really want it to just go. I don't want it to be a place where you put all these villains, or you lock them up like it's Spider-Man or something, and then you go against them all and they become released once they rebel against a Daidoji. Because if this Daidoji is so good, they look pretty pathetic in Gaiden. They really do. So the way I see it, like, I just don't like it how you kind of like, it's like you're moving things around. It's like you're doing a tier list and you're just throwing them into the Daidoji group. I mean, Kashiwagi seemed to have found a way to get away from them. He found a way to get away from them, clearly, and arrange his own kind of cover. Richardson, I suppose he was with the... I don't know, he's affiliated with FBI or whatever he's with, you know, in the CIA, right? He's with the CIA supposedly, and so maybe I don't know how he got his cover given to him. He's in Japan. He's in Hawaii, I believe, right? Again, I've only come across these things, but yeah, he has his own bar in Hawaii, and Kashiwagi has his own bar in Yokohama, right? But it just feels like these games are very much like Marvel Cinematic Universe now. And if you don't play this Yakuza game, it's fine. You got another Yakuza game. We'll give you this pirate vibe, or we'll give you this special agent vibe, and we'll just make this character into this and make this character into that. And like, I like the idea of a Yakuza game how it was before. Like, you know, you make it as if it's your last game, right? And that was the philosophy with Metal Gear, right? Like, you make it as if it's your last. You tell a complete story. You don't think about the stories that come after, because, you know, with good writing, you can make something. I mean, if it's a TV show, that's one thing, but if it's a film, you can write that film as what it is, like a complete story, and then figure out the sequel. You can figure it out. You can make it tie together nicely. I mean, even Breaking Bad was not written in that sense from the very beginning for the end. Is they made it up as they went along, and it tied together nicely, especially then when you consider Better Call Saul. So that's how I see it with Yakuza. I see it as a franchise, like a grounded franchise, that all these people Kiryu has gone through, these people that have died, these are mortals. That adds to the character, that adds to their character, that adds to the tragedy of this franchise. You know, that adds to what it was based on. You go into a life of crime. I mean, that's why Nagoshi never wanted you to play as a Yakuza. I mean, in Zero, he's pretty much Yakuza for a little bit, and then he's out of there temporarily, obviously. He comes back into it later. And then same thing with, you know, Kiwami. You're a little bit in the beginning, and then you're not. Like, you're not really Yakuza, because he doesn't want to glorify that. He doesn't want to allow that to happen. And I don't mind playing as, you know, Minne and all these characters now, but I feel like we're getting to this point where when a franchise has been around for a while, people start thinking, oh, let's do this, or let's play the nostalgia hits, because it's like the franchise is afraid to move forward. And it does feel like they're afraid to move forward. Now the franchise has become so much more popular. It's like, oh, let's still keep Kiryu in the mix and give him his shine. And I love Kiryu, mind you. He is my favorite, but at the same time, it's like, you know, these people that he meets, they're surviving all of this craziness. Now, at Kiwami, they may change the way he falls, or they might change certain things, like how Long gets shot, or how Kashiwagi gets shot by the helicopter. They may make these changes to make it believable. because it does feel like these Kiwami games are very much remakes. They're remaking the series as a result, and they do different things with the games. I have no problem with these remakes not being faithful, because these are like new Yakuza experiences. But I felt that Kiwami 1 and 2 was respectful of the material that came before it. 3 is like, oh, we're gonna change big time. I mean, a lot of the franchise since 3 has pretty much been built on the foundation of 3, and now Kiwami setting a new foundation with Kiwami 3, with how this storyline is gonna be, how everyone is going to be locked up in the Daidoji camp, and then they're going to unleash them all in Yakuza 9 or 10? Are we making this like Fast and Furious now? Are we going to a Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is on its way out anyway. It's not popular now. I think people just want to go back to watching a film, and it's a great film by itself. You know what I mean? Now it's like we're purposefully trying to build towards this, but you're giving people half-assed experiences. You know, its peak was Infinity War, and Endgame. And by the way, I was never a fan of those MCU movies anyway, compared to like the Dark Knight series or the older Spider-Man films, or the X-Men films. I just think that concept of trying to do that now, people are getting overwhelmed by this cinematic universe. Just give me a great film, just give me a great game, just give me a great story, a great narrative. I don't need this Daidoji crap. I don't need them. If anything, can we just take them down? Can we go back to looking at current Japanese society and doing something real and basing the story around that now that the Yakuza is gone? Can we do that? We can go back in time. We can do a Yakuza 0.5 between 0 and 1 with Kiryu and Majima if we want to, flesh that out. Because if we want to give people that game. We'll go back to Kazama, or do a Kuz Gaiden, or his life outside the Yakuza when he comes out of jail. There's options. There are options. You can still kind of have that Yakuza-ness while moving forward to the new. And you don't need this Daidoji. Whatever this Daidoji stuff is, if it's based on something real, then please let me know in the comments. But it just feels like we have to have this big bad villain at the back, and that does not do the game service. It does not do the character service. It does not do the grounded feel of what these games are, what these games should be, the tragedy of them. They're like crime stories to me. That's what made me appeal. I love the martial arts and I love crime films, and you put them together and you have Yakuza. And now it's like we're really moving towards superheroes and anime, and that is not where I want to see this franchise. But hey man, there's Gang of Dragon coming out, so maybe that might be a good a good way of throwing it back. And maybe, I don't know if there was some kind of internal war in RGG, but I don't know, man. Maybe that's why Nagoshi went. Who knows exactly where they were going, where the initiative was going, where the administration was going, whatever. Because they've clearly gone into this, and I'm happy that the franchise is doing well. I'm really pleased. I'm still going to keep playing these games, but I just, I want that real experience. I want that experience of being in that world of crime. I can't speak much about Ichiban's games because I haven't played them much, and obviously there's Stranger Than Heaven coming out, which could be its own kind of spin-off, because obviously Judgment, there's the whole issue with the actor Kimura, right? Taki Kimura. But the thing is, like, we still got Kiwami 4 and Kiwami 5 that they could possibly do. Kiwami 5 is a bit of a weird one because 5 is kind of in Zero's engine, and I don't know if it needs that, and then it's like making me think, are they going to do a Kiwami 0? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of remakes per se, but with Yakuza I don't mind because they give you new experiences with them. But I just feel that this franchise, this series is, it's, I don't know what the future of it is. I don't know what they're planning to do, because doing this story with Minne and him surviving this, it's almost as if you're meant to use this character for later then. You're going to pull him out. You're going to pull him out now, because before he wasn't there, so you couldn't pull him out, and now you can pull him out of your hat, because you, instead of throwing him into the dead section, he's in the Daidoji section. Who else is going to be in the Daidoji section? People can't believe when characters get shot or die now, because they're going to miraculously survive. They need to change that, because otherwise people are not going to take this series seriously as it once was. People are not going to take this story seriously. At this point, and this has been a problem with Yakuza for me, and I want to end this video soon, but I just want to say this one point. People love the sub-stories, right? The sub-stories is what gives you a break from the main game, from the seriousness of the game. You have that goofy fun on the side. But now it feels like the sub-stories are bleeding into the main campaign. And now it feels like it's being too goofy, it's being too comedic, it's being too silly, it's being too stupid. Where I want seriousness, you know? I don't need jokes. I'm fed up of jokes. They're all internet people are trying to make jokes. Give me something serious. That's all I want. Then when the comedy comes, I'll enjoy that even more. And when I have the comedy and I want the seriousness, I can go back to the main story. I'm not saying that Dark Ties isn't going to be serious, but this Daidoji thing, I have to see the execution, man. I have to see the execution. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with the franchise.